Hi there, good evening, and welcome to Dreams to Doors. This is our fourth session in the series, and we're super excited tonight. We have some great information, and we've kind of worked through how everything has gone thus far. So it's nice for us to be able to bring it home tonight where we can talk to you a little bit. Oh, and I got too far ahead of us in the slides here, but we could talk to you a little bit tonight about, what does it mean once you close, right? We've gone through getting your offer accepted, what you do to prepare to get there. So tonight we're going to talk to you a little bit about what happens once you have closed or getting ready to close. So we're going to talk with Shelly Despotakis from WFG Title in regards to understanding title and escrow. Adriana Mendez for moving and organizing. She wasn't able to make it tonight, so I'm going to pinch hit for her, but she gave us some great information. And then we'll wrap things up with the questions and answers. So before we get into tonight's program, I just want to say just congratulations and thank you again for taking the first step. We know that it isn't easy. To jump in the deep end, and you're certainly there, and we're excited to be there to help you through this process. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Anthony.
Hey guys, yes, thank you for joining us here on our fourth installment. We're just so happy to get to share all this with all you first-time homebuyers. It's a huge step. It's like this is a benchmark in your lives, and we want to make sure that we're here to help. We want this process to be as smooth as possible, and to do that, we are hoping to educate in order to create this sort of reciprocal relationship between the two of us where you're able to ask us questions, we're able to ask you questions back and forth, and we get to a point where we're comfortable with each other and we can get you to that finish line, and you're going to look back on this and think, wow, what a great experience. And you're going to be in your new home, by the way. So we're excited for you. Thank you for joining us. And with that, I think we'll go to Shelly Despotakis with WG Title. I think I did that right.
Yep,
That's it.
perfect. I'm impressed. You did
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, so I just jump on in, or are you going to
All
ask?
yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Shelly, we put some questions up on the screen, and I shared those with you in advance.
Mhm.
So if you could just talk to us a little bit about, what is title and escrow? How does it work? Things that they need. What's the purpose?
So what title and escrow is we're the middleman. We're the neutral third party, and our job is to work with the buyer's agent, the seller's agent, the buyers and the sellers, and the lender to work to a smooth close. So, but when we say close, we mean close of escrow, and that's when we actually change title from the sellers to the buyers. Some people say we're on record, we close escrow, but that's what we're all working towards. And when we do that in numerous ways, but a lot of times, well, let me start at the beginning. Like I said, it's a neutral third party, and we're broken up into three pieces. We have a title department, and they create preliminary title reports. They go pull all the information on the property, the mapping, the ownership, how it's deeded. And oftentimes there's things they need to clean up on that, because we need to transfer a clean title from the sellers to the buyers, and that's our goal. Sometimes that takes us a little bit of time. There may be sellers that have IRS liens or child support liens or a few things like that. So we have to work with the IRS. So that's why we like what's called a pre-sale escrow. And that's when the selling agent opens escrow prior to having a buyer. That gives us the opportunity to clean up and make sure that everything is ready to go. So when a buyer comes in, we're just working with the buyer and seller on some of their contract, things that are stipulated in their contract, getting this deal closed, getting the loan funded and closed so that everybody's happy. That's really what we're doing. So we have the title officer who creates the title report. We have the escrow officers who the buyers and sellers and the agents speak with the most. They're the ones that are conducting the whole show, gathering all the paperwork, signing all the loan documents, all of that. And then you have what I do, which is the sales executive side. And we work with real estate agent and lenders to give them tools, give them ideas, and help them go out and get business and work with people like you, buyers and sellers. So that's basically in a nutshell what we do. And I covered the title search. So the selling, it depends what county you're in. It's really county specific who opens the escrow. Santa Clara County in the South Bay is a seller paid county. The seller pays title and escrow fees. So usually the seller's agent opens escrow there. Up in the Tri-Valley area is a buyer paid counties. So the buyer pays. But like I mentioned before, it can be a little confusing. We can have a pre-sale escrow open ahead of time. So, but it all works out in the end. We just want clear title. Title insurance can be very confusing too for people, because some people think it's homeowners insurance, meaning if your house burns down, that's what insures you. That insures your property. That's not what it is. Like homeowners insurance and car insurance, it insures what happens in the future, a car accident or an issue. Title insurance insures what happens in the past. It ensures that the preliminary title report that we provided you that shows a clean title transfer from the sellers to the buyers is ensured that we gave you a proper policy. It also ensures that how we record with the county recorder's office is in proper order, so that if anybody defaults, the lender gets paid first. The lender's always in first position. So if you have a loan on a property, the lender's in first position, and then subsequent people after that. So that's what we do with title insurance. That's why you really need a policy. If there's any ever problem down the road where maybe the fence line, there was some miscommunication on a fence line or a property line, that's what your insurance policy is for, your title insurance policy. We have a claims department. If anything ever comes up, we can handle a claim for you and take care of it. It very rarely does, but it's a one-time fee that you pay at the close of escrow, and it covers you forever. So that's what we do.
Great.
Yeah, and WFG Title, just so you know, we offer 25% discount to first-time buyers, military, and over 55. So if you are a first-time buyer, remember us, because we can save you a little bit of money during the process too.
That's great. Thanks, Shelley.
You're welcome.
So we're gonna have you hang out. I'll talk a little bit
Okay.
about, we'll go into the moving process, and then we'll come back and we'll open it up for questions. So I'm not nearly as beautiful as Adriana Mendez, who was supposed to join us tonight. She had something come up, so she was unable to be here, but she did provide us with some great information, and we're happy to share what she provided to us with you. And so when it comes to moving and organizing, she's provided us with a few slides to help us out. So one of the first things that she recommends is that really, to save your sanity, use timelines. For many of you, this is your first big move. So make sure that you start planning, and really, when we look, and we just heard from Shelley talking about escrow and title. So that process, really what we look at is that a good timeline is about 4 weeks, right? Because a common length of escrow is 30 days. So that's about 4 weeks. So make sure that you start planning 4 weeks out. One of the first decisions you're going to have to make is, are you using a mover or are you going to do it yourself? So that's one of the first decisions that you're going to have to make. And we recommend that when you start to do your moving process and get the moving bug, that you start to thin out, right? Start to make your piles. This is my donate pile. This is my garbage pile, right? And these are things that are moving with me. Even with the things that are going to be moving, Adriana and team at Custom Moving and Hauling recommend getting different color tape. They've got painter's tape in all kinds of colors: blue, red, green, just regular old masking tape, and start to put different color tape on items. So if you have items, maybe you're preparing for a garage sale, maybe all of those get green, because green and garage both start with G. So things that are going to be taking part in your garage sale, those might get labeled with green. So make sure that you do that. So that's 4 weeks out. She recommends that like 3 weeks out that you already have your boxes. Get your boxes, get your packing supplies. Take a couple days off work. If you can take time off work, make sure that you're spreading that out over these first couple of weeks. Don't save it all up right for the very end. Right, save yourself a little bit. Make sure that you're taking pictures. Like if you have a family and you want to capture some moments in your home, do it before you start to move out and things get chaotic. Arrange for a friend to come over and take your picture of you and the kids on the front porch so that you have some memories to take with you when you move. And that's also a really great time for you to start. If you do have children, make sure that you're letting them know and their friends know that they're going to be moving. Don't let it be a surprise. And just the moving truck showing up being the announcement that you're moving to different places. It can be really challenging on all members of your family. All right, 2 weeks out, it's time to get real. So when you are 2 weeks out, you're still packing. At that point, if you decide to do this, if you've decided to do this on your own, it's time to make sure that you know and that you can get this accomplished. If not, then it's time to call in professionals and help you get this done. Many times you've given notice on your lease, so there's no extending lease in apartment. If you're selling to buy a new home, right, typically you've got that close of escrow on both sides that you're trying to juggle. So really make sure that you're ready to go. Also check into prescriptions. So if you have to use a different pharmacy and you're getting prescriptions refilled or they're getting mailed to you, make sure that your doctor has that information. Change your, get ready to change your address so that all of that's happening. Prepare to shut off utilities in your old place and make sure that you're getting ready for utilities on your new place. Anthony and I use a concierge service that help you get all of your utilities up and going and started, and let them do the work for you. I love that they reach out to our clients and help us out with that. So it's great. Utilize those resources. One day out, right? So here we are. It's moving day. I wanted to point these out. So make sure that you meet. This is definitely type A personality stuff, right? Checklists and having all of these meetings. Meet with your family. Let them know what's going to happen today. Get an overnight bag for each person so that everybody has their own overnight bag and you're packing their belongings. And don't forget your pets. And then if you're renting a truck, one day out, you're going to get the truck on this day and you're going to load the truck the day before you move. Don't try to do it all in one day. All right, and then it's go day. So if you're doing it yourself on moving day, make sure that you get any last items that you've left inside the house go in the truck, right? Because you loaded the truck yesterday. So it's just kind of going through and picking up the last things that are there. When you start unloading, don't move everything into the house straight away. Make sure that you know where things are going to go. So your boxes should have been clearly labeled. This is kitchen, right? So that you've got some room to unload those boxes. And then once everything's empty, make sure that there's someone there to take back the truck, return the rental truck, and then get things unloaded in the order of priority. So you probably don't need to, unload your pizza oven straight away. That one can wait a little bit farther down the line. So timelines are super important. And then we also wanted to talk to you about using the right supplies. U-Haul and Lowe's and Home Depot, if you buy boxes from there, you can return them if you don't use them. So make sure that you have enough boxes and various sizes, small boxes, medium and large. If you take a large box and you put all your dishes, it's going to be so heavy for you to carry. So make sure that when you're loading your boxes that you're doing them in sizes that are easy to carry. And then if you put all your dishes in one box and then your clumsy next door neighbor drops it, then all of your dishes are broken. So at least if you put them in smaller boxes, then you have lessen your chances of losing all of your dishes. And Custom Moving and Hauling actually recommends using paper instead of bubble wrap. So not only does it store easy, it still protects your dishes and it's a bit more friendly on the environment. So and we'll make this available to all of you as well. if you're packing your own truck, and I've got some comments about this a little bit later, but if you're packing your own truck, pack the boxes first and then your furniture. Load bars actually go across the truck to help keep items in place as you start to stack them up. Make sure that you're wrapping your furniture in blankets and plastic. And then as we mentioned already, pack the truck on one day, then drive and unload the next day to avoid fatigue and injury. And so we're going to wrap up this part of the session with a quote of inspiration. So when we feel overwhelmed during this process, Kirsten Armstrong said, "Times of transition are strenuous, but they are an opportunity to purge, rethink priorities, and be intentional about new habits. We can make our new normal any way we want." And just most importantly is that you've got this. So I thought that was great information that Adriana shared with us, and she's got a whole pamphlet that she created for us, and we're happy to share this with all of you to help make this process and transition a bit easier. So
You've got a new side gig plan.
What's that?
I think you've got a new side gig.
Yeah, right. I do not like moving. That is not what I enjoy doing. So we have it's my favorite time of these presentations, and that's the Q&A session. So Shelley, last week we heard from Stacy from Gene Morgan Insurance, who talked to us a little bit about the different insurance that they offer. And she talked about homeowners insurance when you're in a single family home or a detached home. She talked to us about what HOA insurance covers, and that you still need insurance when you have that insurance. And I love that you talked to us a little bit tonight about your title insurance. Now, sometimes understanding all these insurances can get a bit crazy. Have you had a time when someone has had to rely on title insurance in an actual scenario, something that you can share with us that might make a little more sense on why we
Out of all the years that I've been in the business, which is a long time, I can only think of one. I'm sure it happens. That's why we have a claims department where we are governed by the insurance commissioner, California insurance commissioner. So we are an insurance company, even though we really don't speak about insurance that much. I mean, but policies are very important. And the one we had happened to be that example I gave you about the fence, because the people put in a pool and it actually was over the property line.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So we had to go through that. They ended up working out. What they ended up doing in the long run is purchasing this much of their neighbor's yard, paid them for it, and they went to the city and we redrew a new yard line. But it did happen. And I don't remember the whole story, but thank goodness for title insurance. It covered it all.
Yeah, I mean, something like that would get terribly expensive, right? Because you've got
for sure. And you have to worry about lawsuits and the neighbors and who knows. And sometimes when you're out in properties that are rural or, acreage, or you don't know. It's not like there's a spray painted line around the yard. So
Right.
yeah, it can be tricky, but we have really good title officers, and they go to literally the old map books and open them up sometimes, and they create those reports. It's amazing.
Yeah, and a lot of properties in the areas that we work in, they're hundreds or at least 100 years old, right? If you're going into like Oakland and Alameda and Berkeley and some of those areas, right, they might be hundreds of years old, where there were no backyard fences, right? Everybody just, right? We all lived in harmony until someday, one day someone's like, you know what? I don't want Bob seeing in my backyard anymore. And then boom, they put a fence, and they just assumed, right, that's where the lot lines were. And that assumption just carries on because we see a fence there. We're like, oh, that's where it is.
Things pop up like easements, like PG&E usually has an easement through a property. There can be different easements, and all those will show up on a preliminary title report, and it'll be outlined on the map. Because it's
what's
important
an easement?
to know.
So what's
an easement is a right of way, basically. So public utilities usually always have access to your property. So there'll be a right of way. It could be a sewer lateral. It could be something like that. But if it's a public utility, they usually have an easement on a property, which will allow them to go in and repair things, get electricity to your house, all of those things, cross your property line.
Yeah, that's great. It's
Mhm.
basically like giving them permission, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the permission to cross over and get to that power line.
Yep. Yep.
So Anthony, I know that recently you did a move. Um,
Yeah,
how long was your timeline in your move?
thinking about all this. So, for various reasons that we don't need to get into, things left over at the house that we moved from. And the timeline was not that that was drawn out. It was much shorter, and fatigue set in. And right when you said, make sure you spread it out over the days so that you avoid fatigue and injury, I packed, drove, and unloaded partially all in the same day. And I can tell you that I was very tired and there was some injury involved. Small injury, but it's not a joke. Safety's not a joke. I mean, these things are serious, and it's planning is the way to go, and moving is a big task, and drawing it out, week by week and day by day will make it that much less daunting and get you to where you want to go successfully.
Yeah, you broke a nail, right? So that was your injury, is a broken nail.
Let's say that.
But the biggest thing, like when I think about moving, and I think I'm done moving myself. I don't ever want to move again, actually. I'm okay to stay right where I am for the rest of my life. But one thing that we think about is that we think that we're invincible. And sometimes like one day of moving or 2 days of moving can really take its toll on your body, and it results in having to take extra time off of work, or you're not able to get settled into your home as quickly as you would hope to because it requires recovery time. Or what happens if you really get seriously injured during that time? So really make sure that you're getting help, and right, don't just offer your friends beer and pizza. If you can afford it, make sure that you reach out and get someone to help you. If you can't afford the expense of moving truck and a moving company and moving people, see if there's a portion of it that you can outsource and get someone to help you move, right? Even if it's just, I've got 2 people here for 4 hours that are going to help me move, that you found by contacting Anthony or myself, and we've referred them out. Get that help to move the heavy stuff. I did a similar move that Anthony spoke about, moved from Las Vegas to the Bay Area, and I had to pay my gardener to help me load the piano and the dishwasher, or the piano and the washer and dryer, into the moving truck because I couldn't do it myself and I needed the help. But I definitely learned that that's not the way to go.
And then the spacing of everything going in the truck too, and and making sure it's secure as you get from level to level. It's all very important stuff. And if you can, like Glenn said, hire somebody to help you. There's people who are experts at this for a reason.
Yeah. All right, Shelly, another one came in for you. So, in this day of crafty criminals, I mean, it's amazing how innovative criminals are being. I feel so good working with my title and escrow companies because they really take our clients' safety and security into consideration. Can you talk to us a little bit about the process? You in the beginning, you mentioned you're the neutral third party and you keep all the stuff until it's time to start dealing it out. How do you keep everything safe and secure, from getting payments from the various parties to dispersing those payments?
I know it is our number one priority. Our number one priority is protecting our customers from wire fraud, theft, anything like that. So from the very get-go, our initial emails and phone calls let the buyers know, and sellers, because we're dispersing proceeds to them, that if you want anything wired, if you're going to wire in a deposit, if we're wiring out proceeds, we were not going to email you and say, hey, what's your bank number? We call, we confirm, we send anything that we email that has any kind of number, social security number, anything on it, we're sending through a secure email portal. And it's can be a little annoying, to be honest, because it asks you to authenticate to your phone and put in the password and all, but we're doing it for the customer's protection. And that's our number one priority. And our number one complaint, because people go, oh my God, do I have to answer it again? Yep, we're doing it for you. We're doing it to
Right.
protect you. That's our number one goal.
I heard
And-
a story from not one that I've been personally involved in, but a different realtor who shared with us at a meeting that they actually had a client that received a very real looking email that came through, and they wired somewhere in the neighborhood of $80,000 out to those people, and they were not able to close on that house because the money was gone, it was out, and they really
Mhm.
struggled. I don't even know that they ever got it back. But one of the things that I always tell my clients is that if you think that it's not legit, I would much rather you call me or text me or email me before you're giving any information out. Bug me, please take the time and bug us, and let us say, yeah, that's legit, or no, that's not legit. Because I would much rather have that conversation than have to have a conversation where we're trying to figure out what do we do because you've been taken advantage of.
They're so smart. These
And
criminals
wire
are so
fraud's a
smart.
huge thing right now. I mean, wire fraud is becoming an issue. So make sure just checking and double checking, call us. It's never a bother. Happy to confirm those things over and over again.
Yep, us too.
That's great. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the moving boxes and supplies and things like that. So many people will go onto Facebook Marketplace or Nextdoor, and they'll say, you know what, I need boxes, I need paper, whatever it is. By all means, it's a great way to go and reduce, reuse, recycle, whatever it is that you're doing to make it happen. But sometimes we just need the extra supplies. As part of that timeline, Adriana's lined up, make sure that you're getting those supplies in advance. And that includes renting your moving truck. The worst time to try to rent a moving truck is the end or the beginning of a month. And they also run out of boxes at the same time because people are picking up their truck and they're also picking up their moving supplies at the same time. So my recommendation is buy them in advance, buy more than you think that you need. You can always return whatever you don't use. They've got little tabs on them. So once you use it, it busts the tabs so you can't return them. But I had clients that filled 4 storage units. 4 very large storage units. They were downsizing, right? They were going from 3,800 square feet down to about 1,700 square feet. So they had a lot of things, and all of the boxes that they used were just mind blowing. But when they moved, it made it so much easier because everything was Tetris style. I'm showing my age. I don't even know that kids play Tetris anymore, but Tetris style, right? The little boxes fit nicely in the moving truck. It made things so much easier, so I encourage you to do that. It was great advice that Adriana shared with us. Anthony, were your things in boxes?
They were in boxes. The Tetris thing is huge for me. First of all, I love Tetris, so thank you, Glenn. But you kind of have to envision it before, and see where those things are going to go. And I boxed the things I needed. I didn't get them in time, so I actually ordered boxes from a Instacart lady who got to the store moments before they closed, the Home Depot, because there was no way I was going to get there. But I looked on the app and they were like, she can get there. And I was like, go. And she told me when she dropped the stuff off that they had tried to close on her, but it wasn't closing time yet. It was like a few minutes before. And she like busted her way in there. I gave her extra tip. Thank you very much for helping me out. But yeah, having the boxes is essential, and getting the amount you need prior is essential. And locking down that truck at, ahead of time so that that when that day is arriving, that you've planned, okay, I'm picking up the truck at this time, that we can load it right after, as opposed to what I did, which was I'm going to get there, I'll rent the truck, and then I'll fill it up. Of course, the rental didn't open till later in the day, and then all of that was pushed back and delayed. So doing everything on a schedule is super important, and having the supplies you need, yeah, it's just as
And sometimes you even have to plan where you're going to park it. Like if you're moving from an apartment complex, there might not be parking available for, a large moving truck if you're doing it yourself. So talk to friends or family where you can back it up in their driveway, and you know that your belongings will be safe overnight. So, planning those things in advance too.
Logistics always gets overlooked for whatever reason, but it always ends up being like the crux, and where somebody forgot something and, oh, I can't actually fit any of that in this house or this truck on this street, like something like that. So
And
do a dry run.
yeah, and never underestimate the small things. Like it's those small things that you're like, oh, it's just a few things, that those little things can take forever. So Shelley, our clients, they go through escrow, they're all done, they've signed the papers, money's been come in and sent out, and lenders are in, people are getting ready to move into their house. In some of the cities that we serve, escrow actually continues beyond just that closing, right? Like in places like Berkeley and Emeryville, they might have private sewer laterals, or we call them PSLs, where the buyers are required to take care of those items after the close of escrow, and sometimes escrow will hold on to that money. So your role continues after they've closed, and so do they continue to liaise with your team? How does that typically play out?
Well, our goal is to get everything closed on time and money all dispersed the same day. But there are those times where we hold on to escrow, hold on to money. Really, if the transaction's closed, most of the communication is between the buyers, sellers, and the real estate agents. We're here, obviously, and we need signed release instructions to release whatever money is going to anybody else. We like to make sure that all money's dispersed within 30 days, but sometimes there's some things that happen where it takes a little bit longer. But we're always here. We keep in touch with everybody. We circle back with the agents. Where are we on this? And it's never a problem.
And I love how you all operate, like you're kind of like the brain, right? That information comes in, so money comes in, and then you take care of sending the money out. So, like places that money will go at the close of escrow, it will go to cover homeowners insurance, it will go to pay property taxes, it will pay off the seller's loan. So, let's say that they had leased solar, and they had a first mortgage and a second mortgage and a line of credit, that they're the buyers, you don't have to worry about any of that. The money goes in, and like the brain, and then they just take care of dispersing all of the funds all over the place. So that helps to ensure that everybody gets paid. Now, sometimes part of that process means that they might overestimate what you have to pay at closing, and we call that the net sheet, right? So you'll find out, but as you get closer to that close date, you're going to get a net sheet that says, here's what we think you're going to have to pay for everything. Maybe you go into the office and sign your paperwork instead of having a notary come to you, so you get to save $75 or whatever that might be, but that's all included in that closing paperwork. So what happens if someone overpays as part of that close of escrow as a buyer? What happens to the money that they've overpaid?
And that can happen a lot because we prorate certain things based on what we were told or in the contract is the closing date. We're going to close escrow on a date. So we will prorate taxes to make sure that taxes get paid. The seller pays a certain amount, the buyer does. If they're overpaid in escrow, because maybe we thought we were closing on the 8th, so we held money till then, and we close on the 4th, you'll get a refund check. Anything that's overpaid, whether it's anything, it could be an agent, home warranty fee, it can be taxes, insurance, you name it, we refund the appropriate party. We don't just like willy-nilly pay people. Everything has to be documented and in writing and agreed upon by both parties. It's not up to us to determine who gets what money. It's coming in on paperwork and in contract. And when that happens, then we refund.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And depending on the transaction and what goes on, going to their office is absolutely an option.
We love it. We love when people come in.
And I like to accompany many of my buyers as much as I can, allow it in my schedule. I like to go there and be with them and sit there. If you don't want me there, I'm happy to not go too. But you're right, if you want to keep your private stuff private. But many times people are like, I have no idea what this is. And right
Mhm.
there, your escrow officer is trying to explain it to you. But sometimes it's really easy because you and I have been talking for months that I can put it into terms that we've already talked about so that it avoids those
And it's
surprises.
nice too, because with the real estate agent, with you being there, you help negotiate the contract. You know what that means. You know what the interest rate is. We're not privy to everything all the time. And we don't know if addendums sometimes might have gone back and forth. We're always looking and making sure, but you know the real story. So it's really nice to have real estate agents involved and there at the signing. It just makes everybody feel secure. It's a great thing. We love it.
Yeah,
So I'm
Anthony,
glad you go all the time.
I try. I certainly try. Anthony, do you have any stories where you've had a client in escrow that it's at the close of escrow that you've accompanied that it's been beneficial to be there to help them out?
So we did, let's see. Yeah, I mean, so most recently, a condo in Fremont. They kind of didn't know, how it worked. Like, when do we get to go in? And I was like, when we close, baby, and they still don't, a few days later, well, when does the HOA let us in? I'm like, nope, when we close, that's the day you get to go in then. So being there with the keys, actually just walking them through and saying, being there as sort of the liaison of like, look, I'm the final piece of this transaction. Here are the keys, and this is the close as I hand them to you. That's it. Now we're there. You're there and you did it. So I think always being there is just, it's just sort of like that final mark, like, yeah, we completed it, and here's my face again. I've been here the whole time, and now you did it. So
And we're still there, right? Even
we're still
afterwards,
there, but this
right?
is like, here I
After,
am again to tell you everything's good. Yeah.
just because it's closed, I mean, the word close sounds so
I know.
final. And even just recently I had a client said, thank you so much for your help, even though we've closed this transaction. Yeah, the file might be closed, but you're my client forever. So our relationship certainly doesn't end there. And I love to help because sometimes we have home warranties and you might have a stove or an oven that isn't working, and you call me and I'm going to get you that help for the home warranty. But Anthony, you brought up a great point. Um, when we know that a transaction is going to close, and Shelley mentioned this earlier, of on record, I am glued to my phone for texts and emails that day to see that notice that says, congratulations, we're on record. Because it's at that moment that I get to pick up the phone and tell you, hey, congratulations, you're the new homeowner of 123 Main Street. And we'll make the arrangements to get the keys. But we really can't do much until we're on record. So people are like, well, can I move some things in the house? No, it's not your house yet. Right? Even though everything is signed and money has flown around and Shelley's dispersing it all over the place, to the right parties. Right?
Appropriately, yes.
Yeah, it's not until we're on record that all the magic can start to happen, from getting into that new home. And certainly it's one of my favorite days. I love that day.
Yeah. Such a cool experience too, just to be there with somebody who's just like, taking this new step out of their comfort zone, and they did it. So it's just empowering, and yeah, an awesome moment.
Shelley, yes.
Well, I was
You
just going to say, we did have that happen once a long time ago. The buyer wanted to move in a couple days early. The agents agreed. I don't even remember the story exactly, but the buyers went in there. They had not closed escrow. The water heater, or they had a plumbing issue, and it flooded the top floor. So now we're in a situation where the buyers still own it. The sellers are in there. I mean, I'm sorry, the sellers still own it. The buyers are in there. Things are going on, and that's not pretty. So really, you never want to do anything like that until you're closed. You do close escrow on record. You don't want to go in there, because if anything happens, oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Right. And people think we do it to be mean and nasty, and that's not it,
No.
right? Ultimately, and I know that we've said this before in other other sessions is that we have a fiduciary duty to you as our clients to make sure that we are acting in your best interest. So when you say, hey, I just want to move some things into the garage a few days early, we say no because, right, what happens if your things get stolen? You don't have homeowners insurance on that home and your belongings were stolen, so it's not covered. Right? So it's we have a duty to protect you in all senses, whether it's financially, most of the time it's financially, right? And protect you from loss. We are almost like an insurance policy for you as well, right? Because we've worked hard and we've been through these scenarios and we know the forms and all of that to fill out. There's tons of signatures that you will go through this process. You will sign 1,000,002 documents. And we do that because we want to make sure that you are aware of what's going on and nothing is strange or difficult for you. Well, this has been super fantastic. I have really enjoyed being here with you. Thank you, Shelley,
You're
for
welcome.
showing
Thank you
up
for having me.
tonight, and Anthony. And we're glad to bring you this capstone in this homebuyers workshop, and we hope that you found some value in it. And remember, we're here for you. So, reach out. And again, it's super fun and exciting for us to help you through this process. And thank you for joining us for the Dreams for Doors. And we will wrap it up here. So thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.